Haunted hiking trails, creepy old graveyards, abandoned ghost towns, and old buildings where spirits lurk. Come and explore some of these most haunted places where people just like you and me come face to face with ghosts. This is folklorist and author Jeanette Quackenbush with Backroads Books by 21 Crows. I discover and research old ghost stories, folklore, and legends, then pass them on to you. I have found a whole bunch of these haunted locations of legends and folklore. Now let me help you find your scary place, where our natural world and their supernatural world collide. Well, my vehicle thermometer said it was a sweltering 106 degrees this afternoon, so I decided, for some absurd reason, it would be a great time to go for a hike. The nice thing was that it was at Conkle's Hollow, and the trail was tree-covered on both the upper and lower trails. And up along the upper loop, there was a steady breeze blowing. Oh, and there were only a few headstrong hikers like myself foolish enough to hike in the heat. In the autumn, with its cliff views of fall colors along the horizon, it's quite a different story and can be crowded. Conkle's Hollow was named after the pioneer family who owned the property along Pine Creek, had a sawmill in Lombard. There are two trails, the upper trail and the lower trail. The upper is a one-way, 2-mile loop hike. It involves a moderate to steep incline wooden steps, 70 to 100-foot cliff drops, paths with visible routes, and steep terrain. It is not suitable for young children and unfit adults, and pets are not allowed on the preserve. The lower trail is predominantly wheelchair accessible, follows between beautiful cliff faces, and leads to a seasonal waterfall in the farthest reaches of the hollow. That said, while we hike this time, I'll tell you the legend of the lower trail of Conkle's Hollow and the ghosts who some believe are hiding within. Conkle's Hollow is a dark hollow off Big Pine Road in an area that has never been more than sparsely inhabited in southeastern Ohio. Few people have ever lived there long because of the strange happenings within. Deep moans are heard from the bowels of the valley, and on certain nights screams peal out from within and are carried with the breeze along with the tiny creek to the road. 3 men were murdered here, and it is their voices carried with the wind. Their story has been passed down as this. In the mid-1700s, flatboats carried families along the Ohio River, searching for a place to settle. Battles often broke out between these settlers in Shawnee, Wyandotte, and Delaware over the land, and attacks were common. During this time, Shawnee warriors robbed a flatboat filled with coins that were intended for buying land along the Ohio River. The settlers chased them northward until they reached a cliff-ridden area now known as the Hocking Hills. At some point, the 3 Shawnee, believing they had outrun the posse, slowed as they came into a dark valley between 2 high hills with a small stream running between them. They rested there a day, secreting their loot into the nooks and crannies of the sandstone walls, handfuls of coins thrust within all the way back to the end of the narrow valley, where they could go no farther as it ended in a sheer cliff wall. There they stopped and ready to leave, but not before the thieves heard the sound of horses galloping in the cool, damp air. One looked back, and realizing they had been trapped within the hollow, the warriors prepared to take flight. Yet the settlers outnumbered them. There was no escape, and the posse murdered the men within the hollow. The settlers never recovered the many coins. Worse, the place almost immediately became a terrifying area to visit. Moans and groans swept out from the hollow, later named Conkle's Hollow, and ghosts played pranks on those walking within as if they wanted to keep them out. Many years ago, I was one of the volunteers helping to prepare the trail for a particular night hike. It was a unique event as the preserve closes at dusk. This night, though, folks would get a peek into this wilderness area after dark. 4 or 5 kids were also volunteering, and to the trill of frogs and songs of birds, we began to set up tiki bamboo torches along the trail so visitors could see the path during the hike. It was a new moon night, and we knew it would be very dark soon, so we quickened our setup. Once finished, we dawdled at a cave in a bend of the trail until darkness set in, and we readied with rechargeable lighters and matches to fire up the torch wicks. We all picked a torch to light. However, as hard as we tried, not a single one of us could get any of them to light. Every time we lit a match, a puff burst past our fists, as if someone's breath was blowing the tiny flame out. Every time we flicked the lighter, it would not give us a flame. To make matters worse, someone pointed out that the hollow had become deathly quiet, lost of the raucous sounds of a forest at night. In the sudden silence and complete blackness, I collected the volunteers one by one by waving my hands in front of me and listening to their furious, terrified whines that it was taking me far too long to get each. 10 hands latched onto my shirt. We had to stagger blindly all the way back to the parking lot in the pitch black for more matches. It was deathly quiet around us, except for a low, hushed whisper we prayed was the creek. Honestly, between you and me, I had never heard anything like those whispers before. They sounded deep and like the distinct and irate chatter of several men. Otherwise, not even the sound of crickets or a deer bumbling around in the leaves in the dark came to our ears. We returned with flashlights, and suddenly the old lighter seemed to work, and the crickets and birds began chirping again. The night hike went on as planned. However, that same little group never volunteered to walk back through Conkle's Hollow after dark again.